Hello, everyone. Welcome to the MovieJar podcast, a podcast where we talk shit about movies, give our favorite characters a cookie for their time, and argue with each other about random obscure shit that doesn't matter. My name is Kaya. I'm a film student, and you guys should totally check out What's Up Wasteland. Yes, I'm still promoting it.
Hi, hi. My name's Alex, and I have just only started 3D modeling, like what, like a month into my film. I have been managing people and writing development blogs and talking and giving advice, and I love it. But I haven't been able to do any portfolio work till now.
Damn being a
Doesn't sound like
director.
you're loving it.
Damn
No, I
being a
am loving it,
director.
and honestly couldn't see myself doing anything else, but unfortunately I now have to continue the Sisyphean cycle of always having another project to work on, and somehow either had the crushing, sinking feeling that I have to have my friends who are artists work for nothing in order to make passion projects, or I have to actually find money. So please do not defund Screen Australia, Anthony Albanese. I will give you head underneath the House of Representatives.
There's no worry about that. I think
Please,
he's very
Anthony
in favor of it.
Albanese. Please, Elbow.
Albanese is very in favor of Screen Australia. Do not
Elbow,
worry.
we voted for you, please.
Actually, I voted for the Greens.
Well,
but, you
yeah,
know.
I put Labour second. I voted second for you guys, please.
Actually, I think I put the Marijuana Party second.
They were on your
Oh, wait,
main
no,
ballot?
Oh no, not in the federal ballot. No, yeah. My bad.
Anyway, who's next for intros?
Hi, I'm Cameron.
Hi,
That's all
Cameron.
you get. That's all you get from me.
Damn.
I don't owe you any further information actually.
Be mysterious, why don't you? Alright,
Yeah,
then
I'm
keep your secrets.
mysterious and cool, just like Ryan Reynolds.
Huh? Ryan Reynolds is neither
I'm
mysterious
mysterious.
or cool.
No, I'm mysterious.
Yeah, but Ryan Reynolds isn't.
Hello,
you-
dear listeners.
Oh my god.
My name is Christopher Stewart. Welcome to the podcast.
What is this
You don't get more than
ASMR?
No, I kind of like this. Hold on, keep going, Chris.
Is this what Chris is like when he's reached
Welcome
like
to the
third stage and-
podcast, kittens.
Ew!
No, I don't like this anymore. I don't like this anymore. No, get out, Lou.
You're officially kicked out of the podcast.
Yay, I get
Oh.
to sleep.
No!
Oh.
No!
Oh.
We wouldn't let you
Just
sleep
because you're kicked out doesn't
anyway.
mean that we got-
brush my teeth.
No!
We started recording 15 minutes ago, Christopher.
We really
Whoa.
did. Anyway, brushing teeth aside, the movie this week was What We Do in the Shadows by Taika Waititi, and it is icon.
Iconic?
It is icon. I meant to say iconic, but for some reason my brain stopped working, so I just said icon.
One
It
God.
happens. Hang on, we
Peak
have someone
cinema.
who hasn't.
No, Alex introduced themselves.
Alex did. Oh yeah, that's right.
The
I
unbearable,
introduced
the
yourself,
unbearable
kitten.
weight of directing.
The unbearable weight of massive talent.
I like directing. Don't get me wrong. I genuinely love this job. It's just that, like, I wish the uni didn't give me 4 fucking subjects to do.
That's
the
so
only thing I've had-
real.
I wish my final year film was, a 20 credit point subject, since I'm doing 40 fucking credit points of work.
That's why we had a choice of either try 1 or try 2 of a class, and that's why I picked try 1, because most of my work is going to be during try 2 for final film. Anyway,
I made this coffin and I must sleep in it. Speaking of coffins, vampire movie.
Oh yeah, vampire movie.
Nice segue.
And not Sinners, not the one that came out recently.
Oh, Sinners peak.
Sinners mentioned.
We'll always
I
find
still
a
haven't
way to
seen it.
mention Sinners.
Oreo, why are you on my desk? Hi.
Aria wants to see Sinners.
No, we're not watching
Hey.
Sinners. That's not the movie that we watched this week. We watched a different vampire movie.
Why didn't we watch Sinners?
Because we were watching the New Zealand one, alright? New Zealand vampires.
New Zealand Sinners.
We were watching New Zealand's version of Sinners, which is what we do in the shadows.
Oh yeah, bro. Oh yeah, bro.
Oh, yeah,
That's the
bro.
only way I can do a New Zealand accent is being, oh yeah, bro. That's the only thing I can do.
No, honestly, you've got it down.
Ah, the Kiwis. This is the
Ah,
only
weird.
like contribution to film they have ever made, or this is the
Okay,
only
hold on,
one.
what?
The only one. Lord of the Rings isn't real. This is the only one.
Jojo Rabbit isn't real
Jojo
either.
Rabbit isn't real. This is the only contribution New Zealand has ever made to the film industry.
The entire filmography of New Zealand just doesn't exist anymore.
Cameron, no
What
one
the
from New
fuck is
Zealand
New
watches us.
Zealand?
They'll never know.
That's what you think.
Do you know that New Zealand also puts claim to the flat white as if it wasn't invented in Sydney?
You know New Zealand isn't real, right?
What?
Yeah, New Zealand isn't real.
What? But the vampires.
No, well, again, this movie is a piece of fiction, just like New Zealand.
What do you mean?
No, look. If you go look at a world map, it's not there. They've been lying to you. They have been lying to you.
New Zealand is never on a map, and that's really funny.
Yeah, it's always gone. If you go look at a
They're
globe,
out-
it's just not there.
they're
Viewers, you need to wake up.
They're a little brother who gets just ignored by everyone because they're insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
Said with love, any Kiwis who actually watch this, which there's probably zero.
Things to do in New Zealand once you turn 18. Leave.
Leave and move to Australia.
Yeah, exactly. Not a hard concept to grasp, I feel. Anyways, enough of the New Zealand slander. They've actually made some really good movies.
Yeah, yeah, like What We Do in the Shadows, which is the
Like
topic
this
of this
one.
episode.
Yeah. Oh wait, hang on. We were watching the.
Yeah, guys, we were watching the TV show, right? I spent like spent like 20 hours watching it.
Oh man, I watched the porn parody.
Huh?
The what? The what?
I'm just kidding. It doesn't exist as far as I know.
Oh, I bet you it's down
Hang
there
on.
That
somewhere.
was
Hang
what
on.
Alex told us,
I'm
but
so-
little did we know.
Wait, I was gonna look on
They were
AO3,
lying.
but I remembered that there's the TV series as well, which would have more stuff. Hang on, surely there's one specific for the
Taika
movie.
Waititi is hot enough where I feel like there would be a thing.
Hang on. Okay, for the movie specifically on Archive of Our Own, once my fucking phone loads, there is only 765. Interesting.
How many of them involve Vladislav?
Characters 305.
Good. He deserves it. Vladislav, my beloved. Anyways, what do we all think of this film?
I love this
It was
movie.
alright.
I love this movie. I've watched it so many times I could probably quote like half of it.
Yeah. It was honestly, this is probably one of my top movies of all time. And I say that very very I don't know. I'm trying to think of the right wording for it, but it's just when I think of Taika Waititi, this is the movie.
Same.
Really? I think of
Yeah.
Jojo Rabbit.
Jojo Rabbit is the other.
I haven't
one,
seen
but
Jojo Rabbit, so
It's very good. You should watch it.
I
think
know
it's-
it's on the list, and like you would expect me, the war history nerd, to like have watched it, but I really haven't.
Yeah, you would trust me. You would eat it up.
Yeah, I
Um,
know.
I don't know. I think Jojo Rabbit is definitely his best work ever. But this to me was like this was my first ever experience with him. I think it was the majority of people's first experience with him.
I think
so-
mine was Thor by like a few months. Thor
Mm.
Ragnarok,
Yeah.
which is my other favorite of
So-
his films because it's the only good Thor movie.
Mm.
It is one of the best in the MCU, but anyway.
Yeah, no, I think Jojo Rabbit is definitely his best work, but this is what I think of when I think of what Taika Waititi. But in terms of this film itself, it's a very interesting spin on mockumentaries, in my opinion, because most mockumentaries don't end up going down the fantastical route. So seeing it, especially in a place like New Zealand, is always very interesting to me.
It's so funny that this is new that these like vampires and like werewolves and stuff are just all in New Zealand. Like
Yeah,
usually they're in either America or like Europe. New
we love
Zealand.
stew.
Stew.
In fairness, there's just a lot of like land that like is kind of free. Like it's not untouched, but like it is like predominantly farmland.
Where
That's
New
like where
Zealand.
a lot of its GDP comes from. Yeah, farming.
There was one other movie that I can think of when it comes to New Zealand's uh, filmography, but I can't remember the name of it. It's
Lord of the Rings.
no
I mean, Lord of the
oh,
Rings is pretty fucking good.
it came out like 2018, I think.
2014.
No, the film that I'm thinking of. I'll have to look it up, but
Look it up
I
right
just
now.
cannot remember the name. Okay,
Go to Wikipedia, come back in 5 minutes.
okay.
um so yeah, Alex, what did you think of the movie?
Well, I quite liked it. I thought it was on a long line of interesting how different people interpret the idea of vampirism. I found it funny how there's just this underground society of weird fucking ghouls that no one notices. And I like how it's not necessarily a cool underground society either. It's just like, you know, it's like an Arana Bowls Club looking like
Hey, I like the Arana
PTA meeting.
Bowls Club.
Hunt for the Wilder People. That was the name of the movie.
Wait,
Oh yeah.
hold on. I'm not going to question you on that because I actually no, I think I'm the Arana Leagues. It's this football thing. It sucks ass and I hate it.
Okay, I
Anyway.
only went a few times, so like I don't have, but I have good memory
I
of
have
that.
never been to there.
Anyway, point withstanding, I found like the characterizations were pretty solid. I do think there's an interesting discussion to be had about Taika Waititi now and Taika Waititi then. Particularly when it
Pre-Disney
comes,
and post-Disney.
well, particularly considering trying to analyze what the fuck actually happened. But not to get into that conversation, I thought the humor of the film was not refined at all, and it was great. Stu is by far the best character in the film,
Stu
and I
really
was
gives
actually.
me Jaden vibes for no reason.
If I ever show Jaden this film, I'm gonna tell them you said that.
I mean it as a compliment.
But I found I was genuinely sad when I thought they killed Stu. I liked how the entire final film, the final part of the film was just we gotta protect Stu. I know it's the classic trope of like, mythical dark creatures find the most ordinary man very interesting, but I think it's sold because no one else finds Stu interesting. Like immediately, like he's a virgin, we gotta eat him. He's a virgin, we gotta eat him. Uh, like when he
Yeah.
starts explaining his company, she's like, the beast is like, he's a virgin. You brought a virgin here. We're gonna eat him. And then when Stu like skewers the beast's husband, it's like, holy shit, Stu!
Stu
Wait,
popped
You had
off.
that in you?
Yeah, you'd never expect it, but then again, this is
It's sort
stupid.
of like similar to the trope of like he may be an idiot, but he's my idiot. He's like he may be a human, but he's our human.
Yeah. I like how I also like how there wasn't an incredible, like how they didn't go over the incredible dissonance of the vampires learning to love Stu. I kind of thought it was funny how it was just immediate. You know, they were like, oh yeah, they attempted to eat Stu, but once they got to know him, they were like, they loved him, and then we just see
Introvert
that one guy.
adoption.
Then we then we see the fucking Nazi vampire. Uh, we see the
Nazi
Nazi vampire
vampire.
knitting him a scarf.
Which I think they've taken the Nazi vampire option and like done the best that they can with it.
Nazi vampire.
But because there's no actual like nods towards Nazism. He's a reformed man slash vampire.
I mean, he may be an asshole, but
Rush
like,
Nazi.
at least he's not a Nazi anymore.
Yeah, he's not a Nazi.
I don't think he actually like said he wasn't a Nazi. He just like he said he was a Nazi at one point.
Yeah, but he's not actively being like, yes, we need to kill the Jews.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, Chris, what did you think of it?
It was alright. I really liked it as a kid. I don't think that I like it as much now, just because I've already heard the jokes, therefore it's not as funny. It's like hearing the same joke twice in like a very short period of time. It just, it doesn't work as well. I feel as though it's still a great film, especially for a first time watch, but it wears off.
That's fair.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, I would really recommend going and watching the show because it's just more,
I've been
vampire
thinking
fuckery.
of watching the show for so long, and
but
now
it's also got Matt Berry in it,
Matt Berry. Wait, what's wrong with Matt
and I
Berry?
fucking love. No, I love Matt Berry.
I was like, wait,
We love
what's
Matt
wrong with Matt Berry?
No, he's awesome. We love Matt Berry. No, he's not dead.
Wasn't he the guy from Friends?
No,
No,
no.
you're thinking Matthew Perry.
Oh,
Oh my fucking god.
my
Oh my
god.
god.
Imagine his character in Friends, but it's just he just talks like Matt Berry. Yeah, okay, Alex, you know the Minecraft villager at the end of the Minecraft movie where he like
Oh, yeah.
talks? That's Matt Berry because he was originally supposed to play Steve, but had conflict issues.
Wait, Matt Berry was supposed to play Steve?
Matt Berry was supposed to be Steve, but there was a time conflict.
Why?
I don't know, but it would have been so much better than Jack Black.
Oh god, why? Over the years I've started to disdain Jack Black more and more. And
Same, honestly. Anyway,
just
um,
why? Enough of the Minecraft movie.
baby slop.
Overall, I would say this film is deeply contemplated on the homoerotic nature of having a flatmate.
No, because like the whole like dishes thing was so damn relatable. It's the only one who has lived in this group who has lived with flatmates and not like, someone you're dating or something like that. Like it's so relatable. It's Evelyn, you bitch.
Oh, it's very interesting to think of vampires of all people as just, they have to deal with the same stuff that we do on a daily basis.
Yeah. Oh, hang on.
Mm.
I will be back in a second. My cat wants to be let out.
Oh, Harriet.
It was kind of funny. The conversation about the dishes. You haven't done the dishes in 5 years.
I think that would be like a week for them.
Yeah, it. It's kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie.
5 years, fucking hell.
Fucking 5 years. Oh my god, it's so funny. And then just the fact of I did have one pet peeve, but that's
Mhm.
only because I've seen it in a show before, and I'm kind of surprised in the detail they went into with vampires in this that they didn't include it. I did find it funny though that like their main issue with getting into clubs is the bouncer doesn't invite them inside.
Yeah. And he'll see that and be like, nah, what the fuck's up with you? You're on something.
Yeah, invite us in. He's like, what? It's like, invite us in.
No, get out of
Just
here.
they're so fucking bad at being vampires. And that lady who was like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait to travel the world," and then
I feel so bad for her.
Taika Waititi's character just like, "Oh man, this is gonna suck." Oh well, bury that deep down.
Mhm. I mean, I like the fact that this is one of the this is one of the movies where the director ends up playing a very key role, because that I've always found that interesting. Being able to just put yourself out there, but because this was essentially an indie film, so I don't know. I think it's. Oh, 1 second.
So, Chris, do you have any thoughts? Which vampire was your favorite?
Probably Peter.
Yeah, why's that?
He was just a chill guy, you know.
I fucked
Never
with,
really
He's
did
just a
anything
chill
wrong.
guy.
I fucked with his coffin.
Yeah?
No, seriously, yeah, like I think it's cool that his coffin is just this big stone thing. It makes him seem so old. Particularly also
He's
'cause he looks like
8,000 years old.
He's-
He's not going to the meeting.
But like
Peter is 8,000 years old. I don't think he needs to come to the meeting.
I did find his stone coffin to be very cool. IMO. I also like Peter. I was sad when he died. They probably killed him so that way that they wouldn't have to do all that makeup all the time.
Probably. Wait,
Oh.
who was this actor? Someone go to IMDb.
I'm going.
I actually don't know who my favorite character was. Probably Viago.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing. There's nothing wrong with Viago.
What?
Little fucking twink.
What? What the fuck?
I'm just saying. In another life,
He's just a little guy.
would have gotten pegged.
Probably. Yeah, you know, he's probably tried it.
The guy who played Peter is in Ash vs. Evil Dead, which is a TV series that came out in 2015.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the Ash Williams that Dead by Daylight Ash Williams is based on.
He was in The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug as a hunter orc and went uncredited.
Okay.
He was in Lord of the Rings: Return of the King as a soldier of the dead, uncredited. He was in Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers as an elven warrior, uncredited.
Uncredited.
He was in Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring as a goblin, a Lothlorien elf, and an Uruk-hai.
Uncredited.
Yeah.
Who's this?
He was in. Is this the guy who played Peter?
Oh,
He was in. He was in. He was in Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power as an elf soldier, credited.
Oh, he was credited this time.
oh.
How out of all the Lord of the Rings projects to be credited, why the fuck did it have to be Rings of Power? He was in Tonga Ninja as a ninja.
What the fuck is that?
The Tonga Ninja is sent by his master to the island of New Zealand to help a floundering Chinese
To New
restaurant-
Zealand once more you go.
to a floundering Chinese restaurant.
Bitch to New Zealand.
But the mysterious Mr. Big sends numerous villains to prevent the eatery's success.
To New Zealand with you.
He played a ninja.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the. He has other films, but I don't know any of them.
Well, okay,
That's why I
okay. I
knew
was
Tonga
asking
Ninja.
because I was wondering if he was like a semi-big name in New Zealand and they didn't want to have to pay for him, but no.
Nah, man, you gotta understand. You gotta understand being uncredited in Lord of the Rings is a pretty big deal.
God.
He was in all 3 films and they did not credit him once.
And The Hobbit. He only got credited for Rings of Power.
Okay, as
Poor
far as I
guy.
can tell, he's a makeup actor. Because all of his projects that he's in have him wearing an absurd amount of like this is a project. This is his what he looked like from Ash versus the Evil Dead. I'll quickly do a snippet. Uh, the audience, you don't get to see this.
They can
Just look up
Google
his
it.
Throw
IMDb
it, no,
page. This
throw
is
it
a-
on screen.
No, no. This is an interactive
Oh
podcast.
my
Holy shit.
god.
Yeah, so like obviously, and when it comes to his roles in Lord of the Rings, he played all the roles where essentially people had to get there really early to have a full morning's makeup be put on them to be turned into orcs and gnoblins and elves.
I mean, the elves was easy.
I don't know, man. They look very like smooth, and also elf ears. As someone who has worn elf ears, those things come off like so
Oh my
often.
god, at
Are you a
Supernova, like
fucking-
one,
are you a leaf
specifically the
lover?
left side fell off all the time. It was so annoying.
You some
Yeah.
form of leaf lover.
I am, in fact. I love elves.
Are you a lover of the leaf, Alex?
Oh, actually, I want to say this. I have never.
Yeah.
I know. I want to address the podcast real quick. I have been told by
Didn't listen up.
I have been told by numerous friends of mine that apparently I have a look in my eye and a jump in my step that makes everyone think I'm high all the time.
What?
I have been told by many a people that I simply seem very chill and perhaps too chill, and therefore I must be smoking leaf.
Yeah,
all
you
the
go to an
time.
art school. You go to an art school.
I want everyone to know I have never and will never try marijuana. I'm a legal citizen. Please do not profile me off my whimsy and
I will still vote for
overanalyzing.
them to legalize it anyway.
Alex,
yeah,
would you care to do marijuana with me?
look, I'm
No.
only saying because I said I voted for the marijuana party, but that's not because I've done it. It's because like if it was legal,
It's because it's funny.
all I'm saying is they'll do a better job than some politicians. Anyway, hey Cameron, what did you think of this film?
Oh yeah, no, it was pretty good.
Cameron, who?
You know,
Oh no, we already know your favorite character.
Vladislav. I fucking love Vlad
I
the
was
Poker.
known as Vladislav the Poker.
Fun fact: did you know that in Rick and Morty season 2 episode 2,
Oh fucking Christ!
Here we go.
Jermaine Clement, who plays Vladislav, voiced Fart.
I'm sorry. What?
In
Voiced
season
voice
2,
who?
Fart.
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 Okay, who is Fart?
I'll get a picture, I guess. I'm gonna warn you. It's probably gonna be a fart.
How do you make a fun a picture?
Well,
I mean, have you seen Chowder?
Who? What? Huh?
You know the show Chowder?
No.
Don't know the show
Wait.
Oh.
Chowder?
No. Should
Oh.
I?
oh, he was the evil gas cloud that was looking to like end all life that Morty was trying to save. Yes, I watched Rick and Morty.
I'm so confused.
He's the guy in the back. He is neither Rick nor Morty.
I've never seen Rick and Morty.
Oh! Yes! Oh my god. Huh.
He voiced Fart. Anyway, keep going. That was a fun fact for you.
Thank you. I'm so glad that I know who voiced Fart now.
Oh, he also voiced Tamatoa in Moana,
What?
Oh!
which is probably
Looks
more
like
important
Maui's
than
having trouble with his look.
Oh, I don't know. Fart's a pretty big guy.
Fart's a
Character.
pretty big character.
Pretty integral to the lore of Rick and Morty.
He was also Aquaman in Super Pets, an equally important role. and an
Who the
equally
fuck
important-
watched Super
Who the
Pets?
hell watched Super Pets?
That's a good point. I did not watch Super Pets. He was Sauron in the Lego Batman movie.
Sauron is in the Lego Batman movie?
Well, you haven't seen Lego Batman. I'm just saying it's the best Batman movie.
What do you
I have to
mean?
agree. I have to agree with that. It's really.
I
What
I
about
love
Robert
the Batman.
Pattinson?
I love Robert Pattinson, but simply the Lego Batman movie has too much sauce.
See, okay, I
It's
hated.
just good.
Okay, I hated the original like Lego movie as a kid, so I never watched Lego Batman.
Okay, that's fair enough. However, I think Jaden had the same justification.
Everything is
However,
awesome made me want to kill myself.
this does not have everything is awesome. There's infinitely less singing. Okay. If I had to put it this way, The Batman is the best like modern day Batman film that like encompasses the modern interpretation of Batman as like the physical embodiment of the night and the fear in the heart of criminals and
I am
corrupt
vengeance.
politicians within Gotham's government. But The Batman is like it's all the silliness of Batman put inside one movie where BoJack Horseman voices Batman and Michael Cera voices Robin and Ralph Fiennes voices Alfred.
Rehab was supposed to be a fresh start.
Okay, anyway.
Anyway, sorry, back to the film. Cameron, do you have any thoughts about the film? Any hot takes?
No, actually. It's hard to find a hot take for me to have with this
There
film
is
because I
nothing
like
wrong
it
with
too
this
much.
film.
Alright, fine. Do you have like a very weak, mild take? Like a
Um,
Like a Macca's McSpicy.
oh shit, no, I don't even have like a white person spicy take
Well,
for this
okay, what
film.
about me spicy? Because that's like another
Yeah.
level.
No, I like this is a great film, and this is for me what I think of when I think of Taika Waititi. I just didn't find a problem with it.
Okay,
I mean,
why do you think of this as Taika Waititi instead of Jojo Rabbit?
this was my first exposure to it, and to his work back in 2014, and for me, I think we get to be a lot more hands-on with Taika Waititi as just a person because he does act the same way in person that he does as a vampire. So I don't know. Mockumentaries have always felt a lot more personal to me. I think it's the best way to see someone's directing potential.
See,
That's a
this
very
was
interesting
also.
point.
Actually, no, Ragnarok was the first one I watched. But, like, I watched this movie in, like, 2018 because it was a random movie on Netflix, and I was like, huh, I guess I'll watch this because I was bored one day. And then it stayed with me all this time. To be one of my favorite movies. It's my favorite opening title sequence in a film. You're
yeah,
dead,
it's
you're
a very
dead,
it's
you're
very
dead,
good. I can't
you're
deny
dead
that.
and out of this world. And any more will get copyright strike.
Yeah, no, we can't say anything. Universal Media Group, please don't sue us.
Chris, do you have any hot takes?
Not really, no.
Alex, do you have any hot takes?
Chris, just say something. Okay, I have a hot take. The movie shouldn't exist.
Whoa!
What?
No, hold on. Let me explain. I'm like a TikTok audio. I say something outrageous at the start, and then I explain, and I still don't make sense.
Nuclear bomb.
Okay, so I liked how they acknowledged the no reflection thing. That was one thing that Sinners didn't do, despite the fact that Sinners, the whole film.
Oh, it's this fucking semantic bullshit. All right.
Oh,
Sure.
is this about?
Okay.
Okay.
Kid Dracula did it on ABC3 in 2014. Okay, Taika Waititi can do it.
No. Let the film suspend your disbelief with the traditional rules of vampires for 1 second.
Well, no, but like, shouldn't they be like floating?
No?
What do you mean floating?
Have you watched Nosferatu?
No, okay. What I mean is that like
You'll have
because the
3
camera
nights.
because the whole thing is based on reflections, right? Shouldn't they take a picture of themselves and it's just their clothes?
No. Because it's a digital piece of media.
Fair.
Although I will say their
Um,
clothes should be floating in that one shot we see at the masquerade
you.
ball.
Yes. That is
But I do also it was probably partly budget, and it is also just really funny to there be only 2 people dancing in the mirror. It is just funny. So I will if
Yeah, I
it's
don't.
funny,
The
I will allow
clothes.
it.
Yeah, the clothes definitely should have been floating, but budget.
I wonder
Hmm.
what the budget
I don't
actually
know.
was. Someone look it up.
I feel like I can't
I'm
really
on it.
complain about the prank. I can't exactly make a negative comment, suppose, regarding the practical effects of this film at all, really, because of just the sheer amount of blood work that they had to do.
Oh, the blood work is great.
Oh my god, it was just
I love how
perfect.
it also has that like 80s low budget look to it.
Oh
It's
yeah.
so nice.
Okay, so the budget was around $1,600,000 estimated, and it made back its money quite a bit.
I'm not surprised about
It made around globally, it made around $8,900,000, which is pretty good for
Nice.
budget.
Broke
that.
even.
Damn.
See, yeah, I will say that was one thing that like was so okay. For the audience, I just watched the Until Dawn movie today. That is like one issue that I have with like a lot of modern horror is just how real it looks. And I think it worked. Like obviously like they're trying to make it look super gory. However, I don't really there isn't actually really that much merit for super like realistic like blood and stuff other than just like it's that just ups the gore factor. Like there's no real artistic merit to it, in at least to me personally. Like I don't find enjoyment from it looking super real.
Mm.
Like I would prefer a movie, and not just because like it's yucky or whatever. I just prefer it when they're less realistic. I just think it just like looks cooler. And that's why I like old horror movies better.
Thoughts on Friday the 13th?
I actually haven't seen Friday the 13th.
Hmm. Okay. I would like you to go watch it and tell me what you think of the blood work in that film, because that's when they
Okay.
really tried to pull off some very serious stuff. It's one of the big industry pushes for more realistic blood.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
look, okay. Cameron, my
Mhm.
favorite horror movie, which some people might not even class as a horror movie, is Scream. So,
No, that's a horror movie.
It's
A
horror
scary
in a way
movie
that like a
wouldn't be a
scary
horror
movie
movie.
is horror to me.
No, I wouldn't say a scary movie is horror. Scream
Yeah,
is.
exactly. It's sort of like how
Scream's
like,
definitely horror.
some people wouldn't call ghost metal, but they would call kiss metal when they're the same genre.
Mm.
But
Hmm.
anyway,
Yeah, I don't know. I think Scream is definitely a slasher, which would fall under the under the larger umbrella of horror.
I just like slashes, but I haven't seen Friday the 13th somehow.
Even.
Hmm.
No, fair
I think I was talking about this um, with Sean, Kyra and I's mutual friend and a horror aficionado.
Oh my god, that
Um,
fucking guy. Oh my god.
I talk with him quite often. Um, we run into each other a lot, and occasionally when I don't want to do work,
He's
I
been
sit down
putting
with him.
his crew through hell.
I will not speak on the allegations. Either way, um, either way, um, I was talking with Sean about this, because I really didn't want to do my assignments, and I got some chips, and then I talked with him, and he went through his obviously like undiagnosed ADHD thing about like oh like look at this project I did, oh isn't it cool?
Oh, the
And
guy's so
eventually we
clearly neurodivergent.
I know I told him, and then he said maybe I do have ADHD, and I went buddy this is
Maybe?
like the third tangent. This is the third tangent on the second segue, okay? We had a discussion because I wanted to get some actual horror movies for him to watch, like actual spooky horror movies. Um, and we sort of had a discussion about how horror is an interesting genre because there's a sort of a dissonance and a dichotomy between the different types of horror. There's horror which is la spooky, which is like, ooh, I'm spooked and gets a jump scare out of you, but ultimately doesn't really leave you with much. probably less of a dichotomy, more of like a trichotomy. Like you got spooky horror, which is just jump scare. Whoa. Um, you've
Mm.
got you've got like creepy horror, and creepy horror is stuff where it's like, realistic blood, or maybe it's like an idea which is interesting and you go, wow, that's like a really good plot point and I like that idea. That's like Hellraiser, right? Okay, I love Hellraiser, but
Cosmic
like
horror.
I'm not. Yeah, well, cosmic horror, yeah, but like
I love
outside of
cosmic.
thinking about it of genre, it's more thinking about impact.
Mm.
Like the impact of that kind of horror, of like the creepy horror, is something where it's like, oh, they had realistic blood, and like I saw a man's arm fall off, and that was kind of creepy, but like I'm not disturbed. And then you've got the fucked up shit that Serbians make. You got the shit
Yeah.
that the Eastern Bloc loves to make, which actually leaves you like revolted and like a deep pit in your stomach. Like Sean gave me a couple film recommendations, one of which he said was the most terrified he's ever been in his entire life. Um,
Oh.
and I think it's interesting that horror gets split up into those three categories. This film has nothing to do with that because it's not horrifying at all. It's comedy,
One could
but like
argue that it's sort of like it takes like the horror elements of the undead and makes it a comedy. Like it's sort of like how Scary Movie takes all the horror elements of slashes and makes it a comedy. It has like elements of it but done in a non-horror way.
Mm.
What was this movie? I'm curious.
I'll go through my notes. But they're all movies I'd never heard of and not many people have heard of. Um, but
My
basically,
favorite.
Lake Mungo, he said,
Oh yeah, that's
was,
Australian.
yeah, apparently it was just written by some guy and directed by some guy who made it and then never made anything ever again. And Sean says it's the most terrified he's ever been in his entire life.
Really, Lake Mungo?
Martyrs, apparently, Martyrs, which is apparently a movie. Dark Water, the original, which is a Japanese film apparently, and
Yep.
Incantation, which is on Netflix. That was his four movies that he said were like genuinely scary, and that he recommended I watch in the middle of the day with no lights turned off. Um,
I can attest to Dark Water. That shit. Oh my god. I should not have watched that when I was 15.
Brother.
Jesus Christ.
hmm. Well, no, I think it was an interesting interpretation of a New Zealand vampire. Uh, kind of got me thinking, what would like Australian vampires be, particularly with the conversation around sinners and trying to properly
Mm,
define what a vampire is within cultural contexts.
I
I saw an interesting. Oh no, you go ahead.
well, I think like so pretty much every like culture has some mythology surrounding the undead. Some are a lot more well known than others. Like so
Thanks for Canada.
the um the Eastern European version of a vampire that's not a vampire but similar would be a strigoi. Um and like you have similar stuff like that. There's one in Japan whose name escapes me. Um that's also basically a vampire. Um I actually don't know whether like what indigenous Australians would be. I know that there's I think in a lot of native um cultures there's this like I guess you would call it superstition about whistling at night. Um and like one could take a similar concept and blend it with a version of like a vampire or undead. There is probably a version of a vampire in Indigenous Australian culture. I just wouldn't know it. Um,
Mm.
because there's not a lot of like sources for Indigenous like mythologies because there was so many different branches of it because there was so many different I think they call them
Nations.
clans. Because like
Yeah.
Nice.
Australian Indigenous, like Indigenous Australian, it's not like how in New Zealand it's like just the Maori, or like in Canada it's like the Inuit. Over 300 Indigenous languages, first of all, so like there's
Mm.
300 over 300 different versions of the same story that all have variation. So it's very difficult to pinpoint one specific. It's sort of similar to Native Americans with all their different branches.
Mm.
Mm.
You have something to say? Say it. You
It's
have
kind of
the
my fault.
talking stick. What? Oh yeah,
No,
'cause
you're
you're English.
British.
No.
It was also the Spaniards and the French's fault. Just generally Europeans, which indicts all of us, even you, Chris.
Portuguese, Russia, the whole of Russia.
Russia did
Yeah, a
not
little
come
bit.
to Australia.
I think literally, I think everywhere except for probably Australia had slaves. And
That's
even
because
then.
we had prisoners instead.
No,
Yeah,
I'm talking about like
we
the Aboriginals. We of course had technical slaves because of prisoners, and also Aboriginals.
Yeah, they weren't treated as much as slaves. Like not in the like African American sense, but like um they were very much like genocided. Like they were treated more like the Native Americans than like African Americans.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but
I
like
think
I'm
what Chris
saying
is, I think what
Australia
Chris,
before colonization, like was the only place without slaves.
uh, uh,
Oh, you mean
uh,
like there wasn't a like
indigenous communities did not have slaves. No,
yeah, like there wasn't a feudal system.
that was not part of.
Well,
That was not part of any sort of drug
it
that we know
essentially it
of.
was just like roaming dudes. Occasionally there was conflicts, but like aside from that, it was like a relatively conflictless place. It's just like go out, get some food, end of day, chill out. Pretty chill society. Now the Koreans, on the other hand,
Oh my
Oh
god.
my
Koreans.
god.
oh my god, oh my god. Oh,
No, it's
yeah.
2,000
It
years
is a
unbroken chain
thing
of
that
slavery.
yeah, there was like I think Korea had more like consecutive years of slavery than anywhere else. But anyway, that's sort of beside the point of this.
I think that I don't know. I think it's pretty on. I think it's pretty on point.
For what we do in the shadows. Oh
Actually,
wait,
you know,
Korean slavery.
No. Vladislav did ask if they could get some slaves.
No, that was
So
Deacon.
Yeah.
no,
Deacon
that was
had a
Vladislav.
slave.
No, but Vladislav at the start of the film, they were like, oh, he holds some antiquated ideas, and he was like, what if we hire some? What if we get some slaves?
Oh yeah.
slavery was only abolished in like, holy shit, in some areas it existed until 1950.
Well,
Yeah.
technically speaking, slavery in the United States never ended. It simply was just rebranded. I mean, the prison they really leave it literally a mark on my digital footprint. The incarceration system was essentially made, and the industrial prison system within the United States essentially made it an industry in order to incarcerate people. When enslaved black people were quote unquote freed, the North still didn't do much to actually aid them, and in fact, the United States paid all the slave owners reparations for loss of property. They then enacted things like sundown laws, where certain communities were actively hunted if they were in a town after sundown, and some of those laws still exist to this day.
Yeah, which was the town
And
that Sinners was set in.
Mm. And also, they enacted things like overly policing within black communities, and they just conveniently made it that the punishment was that you had to serve an immense amount of time for barely any pay on a cotton field, which essentially meant that people were still enslaved. And that continues to this very day, because after the Southern strategy and after the Nixon Reagan periods, they realized that as people were getting more progressive, they couldn't. What's the quote from that one Reagan advisor that I can't actually say? They basically realized they couldn't go around saying the N word anymore, so they had to basically water down their policy till they were harming other communities outside of the black community. But they mainly harmed the black community and made sure that they had a robust amount of prison labor that they could use to pay dirt cheap wages, which still continues to this day. It is an active slavery system that was never abolished.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever people say that the police were made to basically enforce slavery and people say but slavery ended, just let them know that slavery never ended. In fact,
I mean,
actually,
that's pretty
It just took a different
obvious.
form.
one might say that to say that slavery ended in 1950 is to wholly unrecognize the hordes of child slaves that we currently have producing most of our products within the Western world. I mean, eh, everything we own was made by people who were enslaved by a system which tells them that they actually have free will and individualism, which they don't. They're slaves to having to work all the time. Um, and children especially in a lot of third world countries because of Margaret Thatcher, Obama, Reagan, uh, fucking Trump. We have a neoliberal order now which essentially globalizes and puts the wrath of slavery upon third world undeveloped countries instead of the countries here, so that way we can all have a nice distance of a few thousand miles in between us and the people making our phones. We don't have to feel bad about it.
This conversation went in a direction I did not expect.
Welcome to the Movie Job podcast. We don't talk about movies. I found the effects pretty cool. I liked it when they flew, and I liked that interview with the vampire reference. When they flew at each other, I was like, "Oh my god, it's like the Yowie."
Huh?
Interview with a Vampire is a Yowie.
Yes.
I would say.
Well, I
this
mean,
is
Anne
better
Rice
than
would
Interview
probably
with a Vampire.
try to sue you for that, but you know.
Oh, fucking boo, fucking who, woman? You have repressed feelings about men kissing. Okay, that's on you. Um.
There is something to say about the inherent relationship between vampires and slave owners. There is so much vampiric media where vampires are slave owners or of a similar type. You have Interview with a Vampire, you have the Vampire Diaries. Um, it's probably in Twilight somewhere. Oh wait, yeah, Jasper was a Confederate soldier. It is in Twilight.
Well, I think it points towards the inherent metatextual analysis of the vampire when you break it down to being someone who lives off the exploitation of others. The vampire can never see sunlight. The vampire only lurks at night, usually dressed in clothing that is from a previous century, and makes a living by just finding poor, innocent souls, usually virgins, and sucking their blood and life force dry. Uh, and continues doing that. A vampire cannot live like you and I. A vampire can never enjoy the same things. I watched a very interesting video essay that analyzed the vampires and sinners that really eye opened me to that, of the fact that um vampiricism in of itself is an inherent evil. It's very hard to make a vampire which is good, or to make vampires sexy outside of a heavily capitalist system. Like the ideas of a vampire, someone who lives forever but sucks the blood of others. I mean, it used to be terrible, but we now have an economy which essentially says that if you do that, you're actually a goated Chad and you get a Sigma edit on TikTok. So that's where you get Twilight. Um, not only is it repressed emotions about being a Mormon, but it's also recognizing that we have vampires in our society. They own Amazon. There's a reason why Karl Marx called the bourgeoisie vampires within the Communist Manifesto. Not that I've read it,
Mm.
or I support it.
Mm.
Which I think puts this film in an interesting spot, because it inherently attempts to humanize that which is oft the human metaphorical embodiment of greed and evil. Evil has many forms and many shapes. One might call evil Ares from Greek mythology, one might call evil Satan. But oftentimes, evil is defined by the amplification of a negative trait, and vampires in their entirety are usually just greed. This film is nice though because I think that the vampires don't end up being necessarily good people. They just
But yeah,
sort
they're
of end up
murdering
being,
people.
yeah, they're not good people by the end of the
And they
film.
don't feel
Um,
guilty about it either. Like,
oh no. And at the end of the film, Taika Waititi's character does a Drake. What I really found
Whoa,
interesting
whoa.
what I really found interesting about this film was the homoerotic subtext of the werewolves. Now, hear me out.
Oh
no,
my
I don't know,
fucking.
real. No, I completely get it. Yes.
particularly, and I don't know if Chris can agree with me on this. I think the werewolves embodied a certain masculine energy of. I've heard this phrase. If I put a bunch of straight men in a locker room together, they will be the gayest men alive.
That's so
Um,
accurate. Oh my god.
like I really respected how the werewolves in this film weren't like the Twilight werewolves where it's just
Werewolves, not
grunting and growling,
swearwolves.
but it's sort of like a soft critique on the homoeroticism of modern day masculinity. Um, uh, and the fact that they form these bonds and you aren't really sure if they're best mates or if they're mating their best, you know? It's
Oh,
What an interesting sentence.
are they best mates, man, or are they mating their best man? You know, it's like
They're doing their best, man.
I thought that also the werewolves looked pretty cool.
Werewolves, not
hmm.
swearwolves.
Overall, solid 4 out of 10. Sorry, 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm like, hang on a minute.
And I hated this film. The thing with the cameras ruined it for me.
I
Yeah, definitely.
love the chase with Nick at the beginning. It's so like well choreographed with the camera shaking and like following the characters. Vladislav is a cat, um, but he fucked up the face, which is a callback to previously in the movie.
I
It's
did
it's
see that. It was
so
funny.
nicely choreographed. It's so sad. I also love the way that they utilize medieval art. It's so like creative and like it's something I never would have thought of, but it's so good. And like the way that they like they Photoshop some of the characters heads onto like photos, like especially with Deacon. It's so well done. It's just, it's just so nice. I love it.
Hmm.
Chris, what did you think about the guts and gore?
About what door?
The guts and gore.
Oh,
As the
it
resident violence enthusiast.
it was all right. It wasn't the best, but it was all right.
Besides hearing all the jokes before, what do you think? Were there anything that detracted your experience of the movie second time around? Besides the jokes.
No, it's just like you know how how a scene is staged and how certain elements in that scene are just awkward and fucking hilarious to see. I can't think of a specific example, but I know the thing that I'm trying to talk
Deacon's
about.
erotic
Like,
dance.
yeah, sort of like that. That's meant to be like really, really funny, but after the first time or the second time that you've seen it, it just loses its luster. And this movie is a lot of that to me. And so it's lost a lot of the funny factor,
I
you
will
know?
say that is kind of the thing with mockumentaries that you watch the mockumentary once and it's like that was really cool. I liked that. But like mockumentaries for me, I will kind of agree with Chris, lack a certain rewatch value unless of course it's something that has like like a genuine like learning element. It's kind of hard to go through the mockumentary experience um again, you know?
Yeah.
That's
Certain
fair.
mindset.
I
I
think I've
probably
watched
wouldn't
this
work.
movie like 20 times, so like I can't relate personally, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, I think that mockumentary format is inherently like hostile to rewatches of something because it relies a lot of the comedy of this movie relies on surprise. So like things that you wouldn't expect. You're sitting there to learn something, right? That's the point of a documentary. So when you put that into a comedic standpoint, you can't relearn the same information that's funny because you already know what they're about to do. So therefore, it's inherently less funny.
Hmm. No, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. I think that's kind of the main part. Like, I think the idea of a mockumentary is good, but I think this movie exceeds where a lot of mockumentaries fail because like there's only a certain amount of what if X was real and it was like a documentary you can take before it's like, okay, like is this
Mm.
just gonna be public shenanigans? Like I feel like mockumentaries is like a panna cotta. It's like a really good panna cotta is like jiggly, it's gooey, it's like oozy, and you love it, and it's got that beautiful taste. Oh, love a good panna cotta. But like it's really hard to find a good panna cotta that like passes the jiggle test. And
Especially
that's how I
on
feel about
MasterChef.
yeah, particularly on MasterChef. And it's like that's how I feel about mockumentaries.
Mm.
My
That's a good
cookie's going to
analogy.
stew, by the way.
Huh?
My cookie's going to stew.
Okay.
My cookie is going to blood as love.
Yes. Well,
I
do
love
we
him
have
so
anything
much.
else to talk about, or should we just move on to cookies?
Oh shit! I forgot about that big question. What the hell happened to Taika Waititi?
Oh yeah, that's probably something we should cover. Yeah, good point.
What specifically?
Does
Like
any...
him losing his spark, or like his je ne
Well,
sais
I don't think it's
quoi,
like,
or
oh, that's
like his yeah his je ne sais quoi.
well, it's
mm,
just that I've noted something on the internet, which is ever since Thor: Love and Thunder, no one thinks Taika Waititi has ever made anything good ever. Um,
Yeah, well, I mean it because they gave him complete like freedom essentially. Um, it's pretty much all of the blame that the internet associates with Love and Thunder being so bad. They solely blame Taika for because he has gone on record saying they let me do whatever I wanted. Um,
See, I get that, okay? But I also have an issue with the fact that when the movie came out, Taika said it wasn't his cut, but he would never release a Taika cut. And also, I don't mean to have a parasocial relationship with a man here, but Christian Bale does not appear in many movies if he doesn't want to appear in a
yeah,
movie. Christian Bale said that when he read the script, he had to do the movie. He said he wasn't going to do a Marvel movie until he read the script. Now, I haven't watched Thor: Love and Thunder because, frankly,
wait,
I
really?
didn't want to be disappointed. Yeah, I never got around to it, and then it turned out to be shite, and I was like, well, I'm not going to watch it now.
yeah,
Yeah, I
don't.
mean, yeah, it's actually, yeah, like, I was literally talking about this with some of my classmates the other day. Like, there was clearly something there that made him want to side onto it because he said he would never do a Marvel movie unless he really, really liked it. But,
There were
like,
also
watching the movie, it's like, what was there that drew him to it? Because there's nothing here other than, like, Gore the Butcher in the comics is such a great, like, an interesting villain. Like, there's nothing in the movie that I think would have drawn him in.
well, apparently, and this is with some hearsay because it was around the time, yet I haven't actually brought up the articles for further review. So do take everything I say with a grain of salt. Have I made enough stipulations? Good. Um, apparently there was some degree of interference on the film. I'm not going to say that every creative decision was a good one. Um, but I'm one of the people who isn't fucking insane and doesn't hate Thor Ragnarok because
Wait, people don't like Thor Ragnarok?
apparently
What?
people are
It's
saying that
literally
Thor the
one of
Dark
the
World is
best MCU films. What?
yeah, that's what I'm saying, okay? Like I like Thor in the comics,
It's the movie
but
that got
like
me to like Marvel. It's the movie that got me into the MCU.
well
Mm.
yeah,
I
okay,
saw
well
it's
that's
the
pretty
first one I
fucking
saw in
late.
theaters.
That's pretty fucking late, but okay.
I'm
Um
a Alex, you don't understand. 1 week before I got in to Marvel, Stan Lee was at Brisbane Supernova. 1 week. I didn't know who he was until I got into the MCU 1 week later.
That's really
Damn.
sad.
I know. Oh.
Jack Kirby probably put that in action from the grave. Anyway, um, anyway, okay. Point being, like, Taika had a style in Ragnarok that really worked. Did every joke age well? No, but like at the same time,
He's a friend from work.
Jojo Rabbit was pretty fucking good. Um, and I feel as if the internet, for some reason, and I'm not even going to attempt to make the reason, for some reason the internet just wholly cannot see that perhaps Disney, the brand known for interference and having certain cuts of movies, cut a lot from the movie. Apparently the movie was meant to be much longer than it ended up being, and apparently there were late reshoots for it as well.
Are we
Which tells me.
surprised?
Nope.
But like, ever since then, I haven't really seen Taika do anything. Like, has anyone seen Taika do anything? Like,
No.
he doesn't talk anymore. Whenever he does talk, people are like, get him the fuck off my screen. Like, he was in Lightyear. He voiced a character in Lightyear. But like, where did his source go?
Hmm.
Cameron, do you have any interesting thoughts?
Honestly, yeah, no, he hasn't really come around since Love and Thunder. I think it's been such a mark on his career how badly it performed that people have just put him to the wayside because he was very like universally loved
Love and
prior
Thunder
to that
was
movie.
2022, right?
Hmm.
Okay,
You had
so
Furiosa after that,
there.
which I don't know. It should have been pretty. That was pretty good.
There.
I don't
Wait,
think people
hold-
really discounted him.
Hold on, Taika, he didn't do Furiosa.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Chris Hemsworth.
No, Chris Hemsworth has been fine. He's been trying to shift away from Marvel. No, fair point. But no, we're talking about like what has Taika Waititi been doing since
Okay.
Thor: Love and Thunder's failure?
So, 2022. This isn't the sole reason, but this is probably a reason that some people dislike him. So, I found this out doing my industry audit assignment. That I haven't finished and got an extension on. So basically, this assignment, I researched the post-production industry, and one of the things I had to talk about was current negatives in the industry, and I specifically have a paragraph about mistreatment of VFX artists, which a few, I think a month or so after Love and Thunder came out, all the Marvel VFX artists came out and was like, yeah, Marvel treats us like shit. And there was an interview that was going around from the Love and Thunder like press release or whatever of Taika like sort of not shitting on but like joking about in a demeaning way on VFX artists, specifically about his character Korg, and it along with everything else about Marvel's mistreatment, because holy shit, bro, I have 600 words dedicated to it that I need to cut back on. It definitely put a very bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. There is a phrase in the VFX industry which I believe stemmed from Marvel being so nitpicky, and it's called being pixel fucked, where a client will go over and nitpick every single pixel to change it, which Marvel is notorious for. They are notorious for reshoots and not changing the release date, and VFX artists like kill themselves essentially working on these projects. So I definitely think that it added to people's dislike of him and the movie in general at the time, because these things happen simultaneously.
Yeah.
Like as
Which
much
is
as
pretty-
much
which
as
is
I
such a
would
shame.
love to work for Rising Sun, because that would be amazing to have on my resume, it also means that you have to deal with the psychic damage of working for Marvel.
Seems to
Mm.
be the current state of everything we live under right now. It's just, hey, you could work at this really cool place, but you would have to like suffer the
Have to
consequences of
sell your
working at this
soul.
really cool place. Or like you could start your own thing, but then you would have to suffer the consequences of doing your own thing. Just like, can't there just be like, can't can't there just be some like help, please? Like a life raft, like a buoy.
Yeah,
You know,
boy.
it's kind of funny to actually like look at how some actors actually take a little bit less money if the movies they're in actually like feel good for them.
Lord of the
For
Rings.
example, oh well, yeah, but I was gonna mention something like in the same year Scarlett Johansson did Black Widow,
Oh
which
yeah,
she asked for $30 million from, and that same year she did Asteroid City, which she asked
with Wes
for four,
Anderson.
That was a year
yeah, Wes
later.
Anderson.
No,
I
two
thought
two
I thought
years
it was
later. That movie came out in
No,
2023.
no, they was shot in the same year.
I see, I see. Well, okay,
Yeah.
okay. The thing with Scarlett Johansson and Black Widow was also the fact that like she was promised box office like revenue from it, and
Wait,
then they released it simultaneously on Disney Plus.
hold on, Chris. Did you finish your point?
Oh well, I basically just said like she asked for 30 million for Black Widow, but she only asked for like 4,000 a week on Asteroid City. And I believe that's because like it was just Wes Anderson knows what he wants, and in Marvel movies it's it seems chaotic from the look of it. It's just like, oh, we've got to make another comic book movie and we've got to make it interesting, but it's not artistic or creative. So therefore it's not fun to be in. So therefore the actors demand more from it.
I do agree
Mm.
with you. However, Scarlett Johansson was also a producer on Black Widow, so that sort of like
Was she?
isn't. Yeah, she was a producer. Um,
Yeah, but also at the same time, like but Chris's point still
yeah,
stands.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. I'm
Scarlett
agreeing
Johansson
with it.
got
I'm
paid
just
like
saying that it's
millions,
not the
millions.
greatest example. But I'm
Mm,
agreeing with your
Fair
point,
enough.
Chris.
still, it is interesting how if you have a project that people genuinely like have a passion for, they're willing to work for less. Like, I know that a number of directors, myself included, are floating ideas of like, what the fuck are we gonna do once we leave uni? Because I don't know if you know this, but currently, I learned about this in a lecture. Did you know that the health of the animation industry, is entirely dependent on whether or not people are leaving The Simpsons?
Huh?
So basically, we had this guy come in who works in the storyboarding department of The Simpsons, right? Like The Simpsons. Like he's a director on episodes of The Simpsons, and he was telling us about how The Simpsons is basically the best gig for 2D animators and 2D storyboarders in the entirety of the industry, because The Simpsons will always be around. Like, I know people like to make jokes about like what's the Netflix show about like kids' testicles that's animated?
Big Mouth.
Big Mouth.
Yeah, Big Mouth. Um like well, people like to say like Big Mouth will never end, but The Simpsons will never end. They just got greenlit for another 4 seasons. Who the fuck is still watching The Simpsons?
I want Big
A
Mouth
Um
to
lot of people.
end. I want Big Mouth to end so bad.
A lot of people are still watching The Simpsons because it's on daytime TV.
mm. But point still stands. When the animation industry was going through a brief boom in the post-COVID era, he was considering leaving The Simpsons because it's not necessarily the best job. Like, there's a pretty quick turnaround rate for storyboarding, and he's been doing it for like 20 years now. So it's like he's been doing this for quite a while,
20
and he
years is
shifted to The
insane.
Simpsons because he shifted from The Simpsons because he didn't like doing the feature films department because apparently people in the animation cleanup department would actively sabotage each other.
Huh.
Really?
Um, yeah, because it's the entry level department and there aren't many animating jobs, so people would be very, very competitive with one another in the animation cleanup department on things like the Iron Giant because they were like, I don't want you to get the job that could go to me. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Um, but he was mentioning how he wanted to leave The Simpsons, and he asked his friends who were working at these other studios, because I don't know if you know this, but post-COVID, the billionaire geniuses who own most of the animation studios decided that, oh wow, people are watching streamed content now. This will last forever and is the new cash cow. We must all invest in this now. Not realizing that COVID would go away one day and we would leave lockdown. So they all invested in all these animated shows and animated movies. And unfortunately, after COVID came a cost of living crisis, and when there's a cost of living crisis, it becomes very hard to get people out of their asses to watch anything other than a franchise film. So, yeah, all of the animation industry has started to go a bit tits up. Technicolor's out of business, and
Oh, Technicolor.
Seriously?
seriously,
Yeah,
Technicolor's out of business.
Technicolor's out
They're
of
the
business.
Wow.
Yep.
and a lot of studios are closing up, international studios, or
Blue
uh,
sky.
really, or are really going towards like a global model where they don't have to pay as many people in gig like contracts, which inherently is also going to collapse the animation industry because eventually there'll be another animation guild strike, or
Mm.
they will attempt to replace them with AI, and I'm gonna just put a little portent of doom. It will either go horribly or there will be a Butlerian jihad from Dune, where people
That
will
would have
shunt.
already happened by now if it were going to.
No, it's probably going to. I mean, most students are using. There's been a number of papers saying that globally, a lot of university students and high school students are using ChatGPT for all of their fucking
I literally
assessments.
saw someone in my class using ChatGPT for an assignment like the other day. They had it open and I was like, what are you fucking doing?
Yeah, I had a whole thing on my Instagram stories about that. Um,
Also, if you use ChatGPT to do your assignments, you're scum. I immediately think less of you as a person.
I think that if you use ChatGPT for your assessments, I think you're just stupid. Um, you are robbing yourself of the experience of learning. I
And
had a whole
thinking.
thing when I was at the gym of like, wow, I'm kind of glad that I didn't become a teacher, because if I was a teacher, I would have had to endure the living hell of watching a bunch of students come in and out every single day and just refuse to learn. Like, I could show them all
Same.
the wonders of the English language and they would still be like, Chad, is this real?
At Grok, is this real? At Grok, explain this like it's 2015.
I think maybe that's what happened to Taika Waititi. I think maybe he fell into like the corporate trap. Oh yeah, to finish the Simpsons thing. Basically, he decided not to leave the Simpsons, and it turned out it was good. So now no one on the Simpsons is even thinking of getting behind their quota of boards they have to do each week, because if any of them do any little than is demanded, or they ask for a an extended period of time off, they will just be fired and replaced by the next person. So
Oh.
if people feel safe enough to leave The Simpsons and go to other shows, that is the sign of a healthy animation industry. Anyway, back to Taika Waititi, which is the main thing of this film. Um, I think maybe Taika Waititi simply, because Jojo Rabbit is a genuinely really good film. I watched it with my ex on our first date, and I really loved that film. Um, but I will admit that, yeah, Love and Thunder seems to have lost a lot of his source. He seems to have flanderized himself in a way to make himself more mass market appeal. And I think maybe it plays into like how he's been cast in a lot of movies. Like, he's cast as the silly guy, not the New Zealander guy anymore. And I'm not saying he should be cast as the New Zealander guy, but I feel like a lot of his movies are starting to lose that like New Zealand flair, you know?
Has he
Like,
released
people are
stuff
hiring him.
recently?
Huh?
Has he released something recently?
Oh, not really, no. Well, I'd say when I've heard his voice acting, it seems like they're hiring him because he has a funny voice rather than he's Taika Waititi, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a little bit degrading.
What has he voiced recently?
He was in Lightyear. Can't tell you exactly what he voiced.
Yeah,
Did
I did
people
not
actually
watch
go
that.
watch that movie?
Um,
No.
some people did. I didn't. I haven't seen it.
Mm.
Wow, it's crazy how much Disney has just become shitter and shitter over the years.
That's not
It's called
surprising.
in-shitification.
Hmm. I like that word.
As
And
I
something
love the
shitification.
corporatization of
more
literally
corporate
everything.
and more peak capitalism, it becomes more and more shit.
People who are Disney adults confuse me.
I
Uh,
get it to a certain extent. I mean, when you're staring down the horrors of the world, when you're usually a lot of Disney adults tend to be millennial
Get a
or
gun.
tend. Hold on, just okay. Hold back the unrestrained violence for a second. Look,
Restrain the unrestrained.
the point of Disney adults is that yes, some of them overdo it, but for the most part, like people who are Disney adults have a hobby. Now, is it a hobby that is tied to a corporation that does like unthinkably evil things? Yes, but also to a certain extent, we live in a society that encourages a sort of infantilization as a coping mechanism with the horrors of the world. I say this as someone who likes Transformers and comic books, right? Like, I'm a very pondery guy. I like Alan Moore, but at the same time, I also recognize that as a defense mechanism, I like to retreat to the simple things in life that I've enjoyed since I was a kid, because frankly, the weight of the world gets so much sometimes, and I have panic attacks very regularly. So I would like to read about Green Lantern, please.
That's
And to a
why
similar
when I
extent,
was so depressed, I watched How to Train Your Dragon all the time.
Disney adults don't necessarily revere Disney the company. Some do, not all, but a lot of Disney adults tend to just be people who really miss the time when they were kids and they didn't have to worry about a recession. Again, a lot of them were millennials. They were fucked up the moment they left uni, and all of
Hmm.
the entry level jobs immediately became you have to have 10 years of experience in order to get this job. That's why a lot of them became baristas, you know. And I can understand why someone, when having that much stress on you, would want to watch the colorful Disney movies that were handcrafted and made from years ago. I mean, fuck, I might get into Power Rangers, really delve deep into my childhood. Like, of course, when you take it too far, yeah, obviously there are going to be issues with that. Not to be a centrist, but like, yeah, when people start like defending Disney, the company, sure, but like, I don't know, man. It's like furries. It's like when you're staring down the weight of the abyss, everyone has a coping mechanism. And sometimes the coping mechanism is just a little bit different to other people's. As long as it ain't harming anybody, I don't see the issue. Why not?
Yeah, and besides, the real enemy is Harry Potter adults.
Oh yeah, fuck them.
Oh, fuck them.
That's a weird. Unless of course you're like, what's that Tumblr AU that some people like the one with Harry Potter's dad?
The Marauders?
Yeah, like those people tend to be alright.
No.
Better than regular Harry Potter fans, because a lot of the Marauders fans actively disdain J.K. Rowling, and so a lot of them have created this community project that they all work on as a way of having something that is separate to what she's made.
I mean, yeah, okay, it's more just I have personal problems with the Marauders fandom, but that's just a me thing.
That's fine.
I, I feel as though we're being poisoned by the company and then sold like not a cure but a treatment by the
one
same company.
one might
Go
call it
off.
a lethal company.
Whoa!
No, 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 no. No. Chris had a point. Go on, Chris. Go off.
Well, Disney and like news agencies are innately political because they try to inevitably influence opinion through their stories and mediums. So, through politics and also lobbying, I believe that they have created a world in which there is not as much agency, and therefore there is a lot more reason to curl up and, just consume and avoid. confrontation because they're impossible to deal with, at least on an individual level. And those people, the people, have been sold that idea rather than taking collective action against it.
Hmm.
I will agree to a certain extent. The one thing I will say when any critique of capitalism is not necessarily to criticize one company, but to criticize the system itself. I find that
That is the
criticizing
system, is it not?
yes and no. Each company is a cog within a larger system. However, even though I think the way we live currently sucks, I'm not going to be blaming Amazon for literally everything. Amazon is fulfilling its function within the system. It's like a line of code in a wider thing. It plays an important part, but getting rid of it itself has doesn't necessarily stop the issue. Also, a lot of what's happened in our thing has been a lot of what's happened within the general history of the world has been not just an effort from companies but also governments, particularly that of the United States and the CIA, to create a global system of which eventually, whether they predicted it or not, did disenfranchise people. It's a certain thing that I've had to wrap my head around now that I have a moral compass. That some people don't necessarily act because they're evil. Some do, but some people do it because they're just plain stupid. And honestly, that's a lot of the people. They're plain stupid and they're blinded by the fact that they themselves are benefiting. They've given into a system of violence and self succession of like hyper individualism, and we all just have to live in that world. Uh, but I do agree that like Disney has played part of the problem, not necessarily because of the media they put out, though that is part of the problem, um, but mainly because of the lack of message in a lot of their modern day films. Some of the old Disney films, despite Walt Disney, well, okay, Silver Age of Disney, when Disney died, some of those films are actually pretty good, have something to say, but in a modern day film context, a lot of them we live in this time called late stage capitalism, which is essentially meaning that we're on the dying days of capitalism. Whatever, when capitalism dies, something will have to arise from the ashes, and it's probably not going to be that great. But in late stage capitalism, we have reached the point where we're in a film. To acquire funding, you have to reduce risk. We've reached the point of needing funding for a film to be successful and for a film to meet the acquiring of audiences. That's simply the way to reduce risk is to just never try anything new. And Disney plays a part in that as a corporation. Uh, but also, there are other things. Lack of what productivity has soared since the 1950s, yet wages have remained mostly stagnant. You should bookmark this entire section of the podcast as vaguely leftist rant.
Yeah, this has gone
Um,
so off the rails.
thank
This
you.
was
What we do
supposed
in
to
the
be
shadows.
about what we do in the shadows.
Like, uh, you know what? You fucking viewers find the answer to this, okay? I've given you a lot for a movie podcast. I mean, the issues of where we are as a society today is mostly due to vampires, but it's kind of just it's like how humans exist, right? Like since the dawn of time we have had a billionth of a percentile of any of us existing, and even less likelihood chance of all of us being in this Discord call to jerk off Taika Waititi and talk about capitalism. Sometimes shit just happens. There wasn't some grand plan to this terrible society we live in. It was just shitty people acting shitty, and then other people, like with ChatGPT right now, just thought, well, if they're acting shitty, I gotta act shitty as well. And now we live in a shitty world with shitty people.
I believe with Trump, it's sort of. I believe with Trump, it's not that. I believe he is acting maliciously.
Well, yeah, obviously there are going to be people who are acting maliciously. Duh. I think he's acting maliciously. He's a shitty person, but he's also an incredibly stupid person.
Mm.
He's
He's doing
malicious.
pretty smart in his evil right now.
Not really. China's never looked so good.
True, but he has benefited his oligarchs extremely.
To an
Like,
extent, and also not. His oligarchs are the reason why he's backing down on the trade tariffs because he was actively affecting their bottom line.
Yeah,
I
he.
thought he was doing something like, oh yeah, I'm gonna amp up the tariffs to make the economy unstable, therefore making people back off the economy, and therefore letting people with a significant amount of capital buy up stocks for
No, he's doing
damn cheap.
He's doing tariffs because his mentor did tariffs.
And he also doesn't actually know what tariffs do.
No, he's
His like
evil, but
recent
Chris, you're giving
like
him way too much credit.
his recent like thing like his crusade against Mattel just proved oh no, it was Walmart. He was like, oh, why is Walmart increasing their prices and putting the tariffs onto the consumers? Why don't they absorb the pay themselves? It's like, yeah, that's what tariffs are. Like, he doesn't even know what tariffs actually do and how they work. Like, yeah, he's evil,
Yeah.
but he is also just incredibly stupid. He has bankrupted how many fucking companies? Like,
I think we're on like number 4.
yeah, well, okay, if we count America, number 5, then.
I feel as though reducing Trump to just saying he's stupid, like even if his actions are even if like he himself is just stupid, saying that he's stupid makes it feel like he's a non-threat when he is a threat.
Well, that's not what we're
Okay,
saying. We're saying that
I
he's
will no, I
both.
will
It is
rephrase. I will rephrase. He's a gorilla with a machine gun in a kindergarten.
There is a horse loose in the hospital.
Like Trump is as an entity. He has a lot of very malicious, smart people around him. He does. Actually, he also has a bunch of malicious, stupid people around him. In fact, I would like to expand on what Tolkien said about evil. Evil cannot create, it can only torment, and evil is usually remarkably stupid, but it is also remarkably dangerous. Right? When I say that Trump is stupid, Chris, don't you dare say that I'm saying that he has, like, I'm diminishing his effect. I can't go to the United States because of him anymore.
Yeah, we would get hate
I
crimed.
No, I would be detained.
Yeah.
If they looked through my social media outlet, what I post, which they can because they're the American government and they actually have a legal backdoor into Meta to look at the footprint of anything. If I were to apply for visa, they would say all the pro Gaz stuff that I've done, and they would send me to CCOP. Right? Don't you dare say that I'm diminishing his effect. I'm saying that he's stupid because he's wielding the largest nuclear arsenal we have ever known to man, and he is a remarkably dumb individual who has gotten here because he rules over an even dumber population. And that's not necessarily an insult to Americans, partially. It's because America, in its greed and its gluttonous, voracious need to actively impoverish people to have a servile working class, has actively meant that there are whole portions of America which don't get the same amount of education as the rest of the world. Which then means that they're wholly uneducated on their voting basis. They're wholly uneducated on what actually affects them, and they're uneducated as to what the fuck a tariff is.
They also
So
have
because of
voting
that,
on a fucking weekday.
yeah, they schedule voting so that way. The evil things is when they schedule voting and they cut up voting districts to make sure that black voters, Latino voters, and certain voting groups can't actually vote. They have a system which is so drenched in broken bureaucracy and built on founding fathers who didn't understand how a constitutional monarchy worked that they have essentially doomed themselves from the start. But when I call them stupid, that's because they're what they are. They're a bunch of dumb idiots who are holding the rest of us at gunpoint.
All right, I think we're getting very off topic here.
yes. So
Why
what would
not-
you rate this movie out of 10?
Thank you, Cameron, for saying something in like 30 minutes.
Well, I wanted to see what was going on, but
Checking back
Four,
in.
4 out of 5. Stu gets a biscotti cookie. I'm not elaborating. Just feel like he'd like that.
Hey
Fair.
there.
What cookie are you giving
Uh,
Peter?
I'll you go, Cameron.
4 out of 5 as well. Vladislav gets a blood sausage.
That's not a cookie.
I don't care. You think that's actually a valid point anymore?
If you cook it for long enough,
Guys, this
anything
episode
You
can
can
is
turn
be
it into a
cookie.
cookie.
guys. This episode is longer than the movie.
Yes, I'm aware. And
Yeah.
well, I mean, in reality, the episode's not actually longer than the movie because of how far off topic we got.
Well, yeah. Well, no. I mean, the recording length of this episode is longer than the movie.
Yeah, I know. It's a very short movie.
Yeah, surprisingly short movie.
Anyways, okay.
No, go do Chris.
Oh yeah, Chris, sorry.
I give this movie a 4 out of 5, and I'm gonna give Pina a hardtack cookie.
Hard
Heart attack
tack.
cookie?
Why are you giving him hard tack?
He's 8,000 years old. He needs the fiber.
Fair enough.
What?
I am giving Viago a. I feel like I do this every time now. A shortbread cookie. 9 out of 10 because everyone else is working out of 5, so I wanted to do 10.
We're gonna radicalize that one random guy who watches this podcast. I hope you understand.
Pithy.
Hello, random guy who watches this podcast. You will be radicalized, and you will be a communist.
Pithy Packer, if you're watching this video, redacted. Anyway, what films do we want, guys?
I'm not sure.
That's a great answer.
Um,
Cameron?
Mm-hmm.
What film
Oh,
do you
wheel
want?
time?
Yeah, Wheel Time.
Oh, wheel time. Sorry, I had to quickly go grab a cable. Oh, what do I want?
okay,
I want
well,
Army of Darkness.
alright.
Yeah, I'm feeling some Ash this week.
Chris, what don't you want?
Let's take a looky see.
Alex, what do you
End of the Evangelion.
Evangelion, valid.
Meh.
Cameron, you can't be seriously wanting End of Evangelion.
I wouldn't have put it on the list if I didn't.
Once again, I'm saying I don't want Jennifer's body because I do not have time to write that essay because I have an actual essay due. I want the dressmaker because I already wrote that essay and I have so much to talk about the fashion in that movie.
For real, for real. Let's go.
Wait, what?
Wait, what? You don't...
No, I want Conan. We don't ask you what you want because we know what you want, so it's more interesting if we ask you what you don't want.
Okay, but I thought it was like what we didn't want.
No, it's what we want. It's
Oh,
just
wha-
for you. It's just for you that we ask what you didn't want.
We're
because-
discriminating against you, Chris.
No, it's
I
because we
see.
know what he wants. And anytime
To
that
the
we did
audience,
did ask what he wanted, he would be like, "You guys know what I want."
Yeah,
Or you threatened
exactly.
to kill me.
Yeah.
Also, to the audience, please kill Alex.
What the
Why?
What is it with people and wanting to threaten my life? Jesus Christ.
Well, I
I'm not
mean, we
that
did threaten to maim you last night, so you know.
I make silly little jokes, and I do my pondering. little
I am
future
a silly
statements,
little guy.
and I get threatened with a maiming.
Threaten me, Alex.
It's not as.
We dabble in a
It's
bit of
not as
threatening. Cameron, what don't you want?
Spin the wheel.
What don't you want? Cameron?
Honestly, I don't want Princess Mononoke right now.
Really?
I like that film too. I like that film too much, and I think I might cry if I watch it right now.
I
Fair.
changed my answer. I want Prince.
What the fuck?
Alex,
so
what don't you
mean.
want? Let's just go around the circle
Um,
so Chris doesn't
I
feel left
don't-
out.
I don't want.
Watchmen?
Yeah, I don't want Watchmen.
I don't think you ever
I don't
want
think-
Watchmen.
Well, no, it's because I genuinely don't think I have 3 hours of time I can spare this week. I have 4 assignments due on the one day.
Valid.
Alright, Chris, what do you want?
Conan the Barbarian.
Show me Conan.
I'm gonna fucking kill
No,
myself.
no, we were so close. We were so close. Oh, this is, I think, Chris on Chris's list actually. Because I
Oh,
think
yeah, I
he
did this
put it
because
there.
that was really
He
funny.
put it there as a joke because Aquafina.
Oh
I
god.
have now put in 2 movies that have Aquafina.
Chris, damn it.
Next season, it's just gonna be only films about Aquafina, I swear to
On
God.
Oh,
God, I don't even
please,
think her
no.
filmography is that big.
Yeah, well, you'll find a fucking way, won't you?
Alright. Well,
Anyway, thanks for watching this episode of the podcast. I'm really
Mhm.
sorry that I took it entirely off kilter. This is like the Superman episode again. I hope you enjoyed the ramblings of someone like myself. Despite everything we talked about in this episode, message going out to all of our listeners. The world's a pretty dark place right now. It sucks a little bit, I won't lie, but always remember that in your darkest moment, the cookie jar is here to give you a cookie and tell you entirely unrelated opinions on movies. And yeah, keep an eye out for If I Die. Good night.
Bye.
Goodbye.